Bitcoin isn't money, and it isn't a currency. In mainstream economics, money is defined by its functions, not by slogans, semantics, or a nostalgia for the gold standard. A money has three functions: a unit of account, a medium of exchange, and a store of value. If something fails the first two, the third one doesn't matter. So let's start with the first function of money, the unit of account. Nothing in your life is priced in Bitcoin. Not rent, not groceries, not wages, not taxes. Even people who promote Bitcoin still measure Bitcoin in dollars. If you can't use something to measure value, it's not money. It's an asset with a price tag. Next comes the part that actually runs an economy, the medium of exchange. Money is what people actually use to transact, to buy things, to pay bills, to settle debts, to run an economy. Bitcoin does none of that. You don't get paid in Bitcoin. You don't pay taxes in Bitcoin. You don't settle contracts in Bitcoin. Everyday transactions are non-existent. And even if people wanted to use Bitcoin for everyday payments, the base layer can't handle it. It has extremely low throughput, slow confirmation times, and fees that spike unpredictably. It's not built for high-volume transactions. And Lightning doesn't fix this. Lightning introduces liquidity bottlenecks, routing failures, custodial hubs, and centralization. Structural issues that prevent it from scaling into a real payment system. And this is usually where the conversation shifts into hypotheticals. People imagine all kinds of futures where Bitcoin becomes money: economic calamities, mass adoption, geopolitical shifts. If any of that ever happens, and the result is that Bitcoin actually becomes money, I'll call it money then. But right now, it isn't. And that matters, because people talk about Bitcoin as if it already is money. The hardest money ever created, sound money, money without masters. These are marketing slogans, not evidence that Bitcoin functions as money. And then there's the store of value claim. Bitcoin's extreme volatility makes it unreliable for storing value over any consistent time frame. Most arguments rely on cherry-picked time periods or total past performance, neither of which is a reliable indicator of future results. The next video breaks down the store of value claim separately and in more depth. Next is another common confusion: commodity traits versus monetary function. People like to list durability, scarcity, divisibility, portability, recognizability, fungibility. Those are properties of a commodity that might make it suitable to become money, but they are not the definition of money. A collectible can have all of those traits. That doesn't make it money. Because at this point, the comparison itself becomes the problem. Bitcoin doesn't function as money. It doesn't behave like money. It isn't used like money. It isn't recognized as money. So comparing Bitcoin to the monetary system is a category mistake. It's not Bitcoin versus fiat. It's Bitcoin versus the definition of money. And Bitcoin doesn't meet it. So let's return to the claim we started with. Bitcoin is not money, and it isn't a currency. Bitcoin is a speculative asset that people talk about as if it were money. And once you strip away the ideology, the comparison becomes obvious. Bitcoin isn't competing with the dollar. It's competing with collectibles. That's the part nobody wants to say out loud.